Welcome back. David Hertel with you in for Elias. Well, since the October 7th attacks, the question of anti-Semitism in our university campuses has been a very serious one, and there's been several incidents, and the situation doesn't seem to be getting better. In an op-ed penned by the president and the vice president of the Center for Israel and Jewish Affairs, there's a sentence, and I quote, "We must ensure universities are not hotbeds of toxicity, bullying, and scapegoating." I'm joined by one of the authors of that op-ed. Yudin is vice president of the Center for Israel and Jewish Affairs. Always grateful for your time. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Happy to be here always.
So, hotbeds of toxicity, bullying, and scapegoating. That's what you think about the current status of our campuses?
So, I think we need to take a kind of bird's eye view at this, and let me be clear, this is not something that's just happening in Montreal. This is something we're seeing on campuses around the world, across North America, and some of the most media-sized incidents have also happened in the U.S. But yes, if you speak to Jewish students on campus, if you speak to students who have nothing to do with any cause, and you understand what it's like to be on campus with these events of intimidation and harassment going on, that's a toxic climate, and that's not what people are at university to experience.
Are you getting more and more reports of a rise in anti-Semitic incidents on our university campuses? So,
we know that students are experiencing different degrees of incidents. It could be something in class with a professor. It could be feeling uncomfortable when a professor, for example, makes clear a bias and that's the way the course should go. It could be other students who exclude the student from a group project. There's different things happening at different levels on campus. And probably the one most people are aware of was on November 8th, which really became aggressive and violent towards Jewish. They're asked about their experiences. They're telling other groups. They're getting a lot of support from different groups, from Hillel, from Federation, from CIJA, from others. But the truth is, David, students shouldn't need this kind of support and this level of concern. I would prefer to talk with you about other topics.
Sure.
But our students are anxious. They're nervous. They're scared on campus. There's a pressure that's constant about what they're going to experience. We have some students who self-filter and choose not to take certain courses because they feel they will have to choose between their identity and their interest in that course matters. So things are happening at different levels. Universities, we saw, we speak to universities all the time, and we speak to administrations, and we know that they're trying, and we know that they take the issue seriously. But there's one aspect that I think make this all the more complicated is when universities do take action and do enact disciplinary measures on those that we want held accountable for their actions. It happens in silence for different reasons, HR, confidentiality. But what happens is that the impression continues that no action has been taken and nothing has happened. And so we have to find a way to share with the student population when disciplinary measures are taken so that it sends a message that these actions shouldn't be repeated. Because what happens is there's an impression that everything is a free-for-all and there are no consequences to actions. And then there are other things that the universities really are struggling to figure out how to address. And again, it sends a message that everything is okay. And Jewish students are in a position where they have to coordinate with security when they want a table, which really shouldn't be in 2024.
Ita, can you point to one gesture, a type of action that universities are not doing or not proceeding and putting in place that you think should be put in place? Is there any low-hanging fruit here that could help?
So there's a number of events that have been widely publicized, and there needs to be a public accounting for what happened. So if measures were taken, if students or professors or whoever it was that was found to be accountable, there needs to be a message to the campus community that there was a consequence to those actions, because they pile on.
Right.
And you see something happen one day and you experience something another day. And if discipline happens in a vacuum, then it doesn't send a message to the public. That being said, all the two major campuses with very large student populations, Concordia and McGill, have gone through great pains to provide security and to coordinate with student groups. And so these are very positive steps, but we have to get to a point where that's no longer necessary, where students can just go to campus like we all did, hang out, make new friends, discover themselves, discover new interests, and not fear that their identity puts them at risk on campus. And unfortunately, we haven't reached that point yet. And we look at what's happening in the U.S., and we certainly we're not quite as bad as some of the more dramatic incidents, like at Cooper Union, where Jewish students were locked in a library for their safety. But these incidents, small and big, keep happening. And there needs to be a very strong message on campus that it will not be tolerated.
I would go even one better, because and we've talked about this before. I mean, take our anti-racism commissioner, Bush Ramanai. Take the fact that we still don't know what's going on with the supposed investigation on what Adil Sharkawi said during a protest. We still don't know what's happening with the investigations around the shootings of Jewish schools. I mean, there isn't a lot of public accounting. So I think it's a very valid point you're raising. I'm running out of time, Ita. I do want to take a few moments, because tomorrow is International Holocaust Remembrance Day. A few thoughts on that, please.
Today, tomorrow, actually, around the world, I would encourage, actually, your listeners to join our campaign, which is #WeRemember, or in French, #Nous nous souvenons. It's an international campaign with World Jewish Congress to post your picture on social media and to be part of the remembering. But I would say this: it's not just about remembering the victims and what happened. January 27th is the anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz. It's the anniversary of the end of what went wrong. And in order to really understand and remember and to do justice to the memory of those who were brutally murdered, it's about understanding what led to the Holocaust and what made it possible, and those who stood by and did nothing, and those who sacrificed to save and make a difference. And when we look at what's happening on campus, it's not about preventing people from expressing themselves. It's not about challenging freedom of speech. It's about when people chant things like "from the river to the sea," and if you look at your cell phone, "from the river to the sea," the cell phone, imagine it's the map of Israel. River's on one side, the sea is on the other. From the river to the sea means to rid Israel of its Jewish population. Global intifada, globalize the intifada, which our students are hearing on campus, and we hear in the streets of Montreal, as you rightly brought up. The Intifada 1 and 2 were a series of terrorist attacks on civilian populations. Globalize the Intifada means let's bring those attacks worldwide on Jewish civilians, and to consistently charge Jews, as the victim of as the target in leveraging a faraway conflict to sort of fuel anti-Semitism is what we're seeing at play. And that's what we need to push back against, because it's not just the Jewish community that's at stake. It's our democracy that's at stake.
On that very important point, I'm going to have to leave it there. Ita, thank you as always for your time and a very important message. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, David.
Ita Yudin, Vice President of the Center for Israel and Jewish Affairs.